So it's a great pleasure to introduce our third speaker, Chris Dixon. He's the director of Unipart Consultancy, and he's going to talk to us about sustainable accelerated learning. Chris, please join us.
Okay.
Going to the energetic approach.
Negotiate that stage.
Well done.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm aware I'm now in between you guys and lunch, so we'll see how we go. It's a great pleasure to be on stage today and talk to you guys about what we do. Unipart is clearly a non-clinical business, but the approach we take to continuous improvement and our application to the work that we're responsible for aligned to the NHS is really important to us. Right, I'm going to move on a slide and play a video whilst I'm going to explain to you what sustainable accelerated learning is. So I hope this isn't going to be too distracting. This image is something that I found a few weeks ago from NASA, and I think it just paints a really nice picture over a minute in terms of the sort of challenge that we have. I'll explain it when we get towards the end. Sustainable accelerated learning for us, can be broken down into two key areas really. The sustainable element is clear, net zero, that's what we're here for today, but Unipart has been focused on continuous improvement for many years, and the nature of sustainability in terms of making changes and making that change stick is really important. Accelerated learning is all about picking up information that we've got today and understanding what that means for us. There's no key formula for this. I think it's been repeated a couple of times over the speakers that we've had today. There's no format to follow. This is about understanding what we have today and then doing something about it. And what's really strong for us is that we understand exactly what we can see in front of us, visualize it, use data, and then make some clear decisions. The image that you've just seen there from NASA that's just rolled out shows how average temperature by month, by year has changed since 1880 up to the current time. Clearly there's a really worrying trend there. We've all talked about it. We've seen some other scary graphs that demonstrate that. But what this also does show me is if we do something about it, the change can be reversed. Around the 1940s, there's a big spike, obvious reasons. Lots of activity going on globally at that point. But it was reversed, and I think that we saw the same over the COVID period in recent years that's less obvious. So I think that we've got the chance still to do something about it. A quick update about Unipart and the reason why Unipart is interested in this sort of stuff. We don't sell parts for cars anymore. We haven't done that for a long while, but every time I speak to people for the first time, that's the first question I get. We do have some pens actually that are made from old car parts. Unipart is a really diverse company. It is a privately owned British company, and we're really proud of the things that we do and really proud of the quality that we put forward. What this supply chain organisation gives us is a huge amount of experiences and an absolute passion to focus on this, our purpose, which is to understand the real and perceived needs of our customers. We translate the term customer now into all sorts of different things. So in this context, it's about what we need to do to deliver on this topic. The organisation sees some clear specialisms. You can see those there. And we've got a concerted effort within our strategy to drive all of the things that we're learning our different operating areas into the green agenda. And it's a key part of our strategy. So those experiences cross discipline are really important to us. Additionally, we work in all sorts of different sectors. Clearly, we work in the NHS, and I'll explain that a little bit more later. But globally, we work in all sorts of different sectors that have a different perspective on the same sort of challenge. And it's the Unipart culture that allows us to gather those different perspectives and convert it into some real simple actions that we can take today. For those that you don't know what we do for the NHS, we provide a service for SCCL to deliver material to English hospitals. We run a network of 9 DCs. We employ around 2,000 people to do that every single day. And here are some of the sort of statistics that we hold within that service in terms of the service that we deliver. That service itself has gone under a huge transformation in terms of the way that we look at delivering a great service, and in the context of not only getting material to patients, but also in the way that we do it. And the key methodology that we put together for that is something called the Unipart Way. The Unipart Way was established over 30 years ago as Unipart was born from British Leyland. It was at a time of need. It was a failed business, and out of necessity, we needed to change the way that we work. And importantly, we needed to engage the people that work within the organisation. Today, we have around about 12,000 people in our organisation. And we focused on doing things the right way as we saw it, focused on people, focused on the people that do the job, focused on our customers, and to deliver that in a lean way based on continuous improvement. And you know, we've had continuous improvement methodologies explained today. We coin that in understanding the way that we think, the way that we behave, and the way that we work, and the way that we behave. And that perspective on on continuous improvement, is all about the experiences that we have, not only from the broad organisation that we see today, but also in the measures that we deliver every single hour. We measure our business every hour, and what we learn in that hour, we correct and do something about it in the very next one, to ensure that we can deliver our job at the end of the day, whether it be a project or a service level. So to deliver customer continuous improvement faster based on our experience is a really important element of what we do. For me, this picture is really complicated. I'm not an environmental expert, but what I do know from this picture is that it's all connected. And you know, I understand that my scope 1 and 2 in terms of logistics is the trust scope 3. And my responsibility in that equation is that we actually burn 15,000 tonnes of carbon to deliver our service to the NHS. And it's our responsibility to focus on that and do something about it. Unipart itself is committed to this exercise. We are measuring everything that we can do, and I'd love in a different setting to explain some of the ways that we're measuring our business today in some reasonably creative ways. We know that we burn over 600,000 kilograms of carbon every year, and I also know that 86% of that is in scope 3. So the real job for us is to engage with our supply chain to make sure that when we're delivering our services to the customers that we have, that we can deal with that 96% is outside of our direct control. We do that through teamwork, and we also do that by taking some personal responsibilities. So the responsibilities that Unipart have committed to through science-based targets is to reduce our scope 1 and 2 by 90% by 2030. I'm pleased to say that we're a third of the way along that journey already. We've committed to go out to our supply chain and ensure that at least 75% of our supply chain has got science-based targets by 2028. And again, there's some techniques that we're deploying and creating at the moment to help us do that. And then all of our emissions will be reduced by 90% by 2040, which is around about 10 years faster than some of the criteria that's out there. That's a leading commitment by a logistics business. You know, we're a very volatile organisation, and but we're committed to do that sort of thing. We have a very dedicated team that, again, happy to transfer information in any forum that you guys would like us to participate in. In terms of some real practical things, I think it's important. We've talked about a lot of strategy this morning, but in terms of some real practical things that we've done to make that 30% improvement already, we're completely green in terms of our energy purchasing. That's something that's relatively simple to do. You just got to be committed to do it and get out there and do the work. All of our buildings run with LEDs. We've opened up skylights to bring natural light into the organisation. Interestingly, in the NHS facilities that we have, they're all temperature controlled, which is really actually intensive from a carbon point of view. So we've installed airlocks into all of our warehouses so that we can maintain the internal temperature of our warehouses and allow deliveries to come and go. And we focus intently on training and briefing of our teams. We spend a lot of time educating them in terms of what their impact is, how they come to work, how they behave, how they throw away their rubbish, and some of the creative problem-solving techniques that we run through. Always think about carbon as an outcome in terms of the work that we do. And we work with our customers. Again, I said that those customers in different sectors have different perspectives on carbon, and one of our customers is Sky. We spent the last sort of 10 years or so working on this journey with them, and I'm pleased to say that in Sky's supply chain there's no single-use plastic at all. And we've worked really hard with them to do that. So we have no shrink wraps, we have no plastic packaging, we have purely recyclable packaging, and a supply chain that's designed for multi-use. In fact, all of the Sky engineers that come to your home, all the material that they use is returned back to our warehouse. None of it is zero, none of it is landfilled. All of it is reduced back to its materials and reused. So we do some really practical things at the moment, but we're still thinking about that long journey. And there's some interesting things on this slide that I just wanted to pull out. So those two boxes at the top, it's all about culture. It's all about talking, engaging with our people and making sure that their brains are switched on to this problem and that we talk to them all the while about that. We're also talking to our landlords. We've got 45 premises around the UK. It's nowhere near as much as the NHS, but we're working with all our landlords on the buildings and the energy that those buildings create. And we're thinking about our heating, and changing the methodologies of heating, which is a real big element of cost for us. And interestingly, where our organisation has said that us also in manufacturing, we produce products. And through that experience, we've been able to understand in a real simple way how to understand what our life cycle assessment is. So for everything that we produce at Unipart, we understand the carbon impact of every single product, and we understand through our logistics expertise the cost of that from a carbon point of view in terms of getting to its point of use, the customer, and how it should be recycled. So we're starting to get a really clear idea on our Scope 3. That's really transferable information. That's a methodology that we've created using a tool, and we can share that with you guys in terms of how you can assess the carbon impact of your products. As well, we want to measure more our buildings. We've got a great tool called Eco Insight, which is ready for a demo outside if anybody's interested in seeing it. Eco Insight I'll come to shortly, but it's a great tool that can be retrospectively applied to a building and to a business to show the energy usage of a building at any time. I won't spend too long on this because it's a little bit of an adjacent topic, but we are supply chain experts, and we do spend time with businesses working out their whole supply chain impact. And actually, before we focus on the carbon measurement of that supply chain, we work with them actually to make it fit for purpose. So if we can remove a warehouse, then let's remove a warehouse, because there's no point in measuring something that doesn't need to be there. But then we go through a very simple approach really in terms of the supply chain, understand it, measure it, and go through a continuous improvement approach to ensure that continually we can see the changes and the benefits we're making and reacting to that. In terms of bringing that accelerated learning together into a sustainable element, I just wanted to bring to your attention Eco Insight as a tool. The Insight bit is a really clever system. It's an engineering tool that's been based from a preventative maintenance methodology that has come out of largely our rail business, but it's been transformed into an eco tool, and it provides some real insightful information in terms of how you can see data today and make decisions tonight about tomorrow. But just to sort of like, the reason why we've got this tool in place is that I think people sort of understand how much energy they burn across a year. You know what your bills are. But do you really know where that energy or resource, whether it's water or gas or electricity, do we know where it's been used? And do we know through what processes within your business it's being used? And can you answer questions like how much energy has been burnt at night when nobody's there? Well, this is the tool that can help with that. So it's been created to cover off largely scope 1 and 2 and is building into scope 3. It's a tool that automatically gathers information, so you don't have to spend lots of time gathering information. We do that through traditional means, so we can take the meter readings from your buildings, but also we retrospectively install sensors where they're important to measure. So taking it out of the context of a hospital, if you've got a factory and a production line, we can measure that production line and we know how much energy that production line is being used and how many units it's creating. Similarly, with some conversations that we're having today with some of the trusts in private and in the NHS, we're able to understand how much energy is being used in different services within sort of like a health environment. And we use the tool, or with that non-traditional ways of gathering data, if you like, is put together with the traditional, and it helps us in making decisions today about switching lights off. In our case, we've cancelled night shifts because we don't need them anymore. It was a marginal service gain, but actually it was a much more impactful carbon impact. So we don't need to run some night shifts now. So we've used it to help set those targets that I mentioned before, and it's a really direct tool that can measure in real time, second by second, the information that you guys need to help you manage your own organisations. It's dashboard based, so you can see that dashboard outside, and it's a really dynamic tool that we'd love to share with you. Before I click on the next slide, it's just a final movie. Everything that I've talked about here is wholly transferable. We're talking about behaviour, culture, about learning how to see things slightly differently. And we're more than happy to help you with that. We've done it for 30 years for all sorts of different businesses, and we learn ourselves and we can apply that to different situations. The image that follows, or the little video that follows that I'll leave you with, are some thoughts from some Unipart people who have been thinking about this task and the challenge that we all have.
I want to save the planet because in some places the climate is very high and some people might die because it's so hot. How to do that is to recycle. If you can recycle or do anything to help save the planet, it will be very helpful.
I feel really lucky to live in a time and a place where I can enjoy such nature, but I want the people that follow us to feel equally as lucky. And I want to feel that there was a generation of people who, faced with a crisis, took action and decided to save all this beauty.
So it's Saturday morning, out here in the village field, getting ready to play football with all the kids. Could you imagine a world without an environment where we're able to do this? The food that we had this morning to get us ready for today's game. All the kids here enjoying themselves, the community spirit. That's what the environment and sustainability means to me. Keeping hold of all of this.
The thing that saddens me most about climate change and its continued threat is that the challenges it will create, the opportunities it will continue to take away, will most be felt by those that had little to do with causing the problem. Our kids, our nieces, our nephews and our grandkids.
And I have 3 beautiful children, and we're hoping for a handful of grandchildren in the future. We have a massive responsibility to take care of this planet and hand it over to our children and grandchildren in a better condition than we received it from our parents and grandparents. I'm really proud that Unipart has made a firm net zero commitment of 2040. But we need to be reducing our carbon impact day by day, hour by hour, not only in the workplace, but in our personal lives as well.
Looking after the environment is important for me, for the welfare of our children and the children's children.
I help the environment by riding my bike and walking more than I get in the car and drive.
In school, I'm an eco-council and we make sure there's no litter on the floor and that equals no animals getting hurt.
And it's not always the big things, it's the small things that count. So next time you grab a cup of coffee, make sure you use your own cup. And recycle, 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 recycle.
Okay, thanks very much.